Good morning, everyone. My name is Genevieve Noel, and welcome to my channel. If you are new here, my channel surrounds my 2021 goals and me reaching them. Today's video is all about my birth story.
The only heartache that I ever faced was a need of fortune and a dream of fame. I took those empty feelings and turned them into love. It each time it's the eye in the storm of the universe. I got mine. Where do you think that you will find your
Now, for those of you who don't know, one of my 2021 goals was to successfully deliver at a birth center. We have a guest. He's hanging out with us today. We'll see how long he lasts. So I went into labor technically January 21st at like 3 p.m. So the Thursday before he was born. And I had contractions like almost all night, and then they kind of stopped. They weren't really that intense, but they followed all like the rules. So I was like, I don't really know. And they ended up going away at like 9 o'clock until like I fell asleep at 11. And then I woke up again with them in the middle of the night, took a shower. They kind of like relaxed a little bit and then went back to bed. Woke up again at like 6 o'clock, a little bit before 6 o'clock. A little bit before Gregory needed to get up to go to work. I was like, I had a bigger contraction. I was like, that one was kind of not necessarily painful, but like I could feel it more. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. This has been since like last night. And they were consistent. They were just every 5 minutes or less, for a minute, for, it had been a couple of hours, like at night, that's the same pattern it was following. But it never got more intense, so I was always just like, it's not real labor kind of thing. But then that morning, it wasn't that intense, but I just, it kept going, and I was like, Gregory, I don't know what to do. So he was like, well, I'll go into work a half an hour later. So, I got ready, walked around, we kind of hung out. They didn't go away, but they weren't quite as consistent, so I was like, just go to work, it's fine. He goes, okay, but if they don't, like, totally go away within the hour, like, call the doula and talk to her. So I texted her, I told her what was going on at, like, 9, and she was like, I'm gonna come over there, we'll, like, talk about it, essentially. So she came over here at, like, 11 something, and I get a text message from Gregory saying he was on his way home because his boss was like, nope, you're having a baby today, go home. And I was like, well, that's not necessarily the case. They haven't gotten any more intense, blah, 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 blah. And I was talking to the doula, and she's like, well, it seems like your body needs like a push either into labor or to stop contracting. Because otherwise you're going to be, exhausted when you do go into labor. So I was like, yeah, it does. She took my blood pressure a couple of times to tell my midwife because I did have high blood pressure, as you guys know. And then after she took my blood pressure, it was kind of borderline, and it was close to what it had been at my doctor's appointments. But she was like, do some, like, walking, eat, like, that's the plan, do some stuff to try to put yourself into labor, like, activities kind of thing, and then, take a nap, see where it goes from there. And I'll call your midwife and just make sure she's okay with that plan, and then let her know what your blood pressure was. She left, and I got a call a couple of minutes later from my midwife saying, scratch that, you are going to come in and get induced because your blood pressure it hasn't gone down any, It seems like it's only going up. Let's have a baby. She was like, we're going to induce you with castor oil. And I was like, oh, I've heard that that makes you throw up. It doesn't taste really good. And she goes, oh, I have a recipe. You will not even taste it. You'll be fine. You just need to pick up sherbet and orange juice. And I was like, okay. She goes, what you want to do before you induce with castor oil, you want to have a really hearty meal with lots of fats, like healthy fats, and, like potatoes, that kind of stuff, just to have something in your stomach. She was like, either take a nap, then eat, then come into the birth center, or eat and then try and nap at the birth center after we've induced you, because you want to eat and then induce with the castor oil. She said 20 minutes later. It took us 40 minutes to get there and then get everything set up. So it was more like an hour later, but that's okay. It was close. So I was like, well, I'm in the middle of eating that really hearty meal right now. So I guess we're coming in now. So I finished my meal and we stopped at Target. She went to the birth center. My doula went to the birth center. Like I said, we stopped at Target, went out to the birth center. It was about a 40-minute drive. I was still having like minor contractions. They were like nothing, just the same that they had been all morning.
So I thought I was posting a video today and I'm not. Going to the birth center, which is kind of nerve-wracking a little bit. Don't exactly want to get induced, but kind of partially inducing. That's what's going on. We're stopping to get stuff for the castor oil induction to not make it taste bad, so I'm okay with that. So, wish us luck.
So we got to the birth center. We got into our room, got, everything situated. She did like the initial stuff, taking his heart rate, taking my heart rate, taking my blood pressure. We had to get her some labs from my initial visit when we were still in Texas. And then I got induced with the castor oil, orange juice sherbet concoction, which tasted like chapstick. So, if you have to, or if you're trying to induce with castor oil or have to induce with castor oil, that is definitely the recipe. I don't know what the proportions are, but it was just like a drink, but like of sherbet and orange juice. I had raspberry sherbet, and that's why it just tasted like chapstick, I think. But, I don't know, it was good. It was really good. Couldn't taste the castor oil. It was like, sweet, this is great. And then they inserted a balloon pump to keep me dilated because I was at 4 centimeters, 5 centimeters-ish, and 75% effaced. So they were like, we'll just put this in. It'll speed things along. Whew. But if it pops out, let us know. Well, it was really uncomfortable to get that in. Like, that was the most uncomfortable part of, like, getting admitted and stuff. So I was like, I'm not doing anything to have you go in and readjust that. Nuh-uh. I laid down and I took a nap for like an hour and a half. One thing about castor oil that I never knew is it is a laxative. Like, that's its purpose. I woke up like an hour and a half later, and my contractions were a lot stronger. They weren't, like, unbearable by any means. They weren't quite at, like, heavy period cramps. They were kind of like lighter period cramps, stuff that you can, like, you just walk through it, and then you're like, oh, well, that's annoying. And then you kind of keep going. Went to the bathroom, and I was like, oh, this is going to be interesting. I had felt nauseous earlier in the day, and so my doula was like, be prepared, you're probably going to throw up. I was like, oh, joy. So I was kind of like waiting for that, but it never actually ended up happening. I never threw up, which was really nice, but I was kind of like sitting there prepared for it. So at that point, I was awake and I was laboring actively, and I hung out at the end of the bed, did some stuff off the edge of the bed, did some stuff walking around, hung out in bed. The doula came in and the midwife came in to check me. I had gone to the bathroom and stuff, and she was like, oh, you're doing good. We're going to take out the balloon catheter. You're good. So, took that out, and I was like, it wasn't really that much of a relief, actually, but hey, cool, it's fine. And they were like, oh, you're at like 6 or something centimeters. So they were like, you're doing good. It was 5 or 6, I don't remember. It was like a centimeter more. And they're like, we're going to get the water set up for you. So they ran the tub, and they were like, labor in the bed for a little while. They wanted me to do these side-lying releases is what they're called. And it's like your foot is down, one foot is down and the other foot is crossed over, and like you bring your knee up to your chest kind of. They were like, do that for 3 to 5 contractions. So I did it for 5 contractions and it took like 15 minutes maybe. And then rolled to the other side, did it for 5 contractions, again like 15 minutes. They're like, normally that takes an hour, so the tub's not ready yet. And I was like, that's okay, I gotta go to the bathroom anyway. So I got up, went to the bathroom, I was like chilling, and then I was like, I'll lay down in my side-lying release again for a little while till the tub was ready. So I did that. Once the tub was ready, I got into the tub, which was a great choice. I was so excited. I was like, oh, this is so nice. And then they were like, you want to do essentially like a runner position to open up your hips, get everything moving. He's got to rotate. And I was like, okay, cool, let's do it. They were like, it's going to be more uncomfortable. And it was like, I'm fine, it's fine, whatever. I did the runner. I switched every other contraction in between legs for a little while. We were in the tub for a little while. I honestly, it was totally fine. I couldn't necessarily like conversate through my contractions at that point, but Gregory was telling stories and it was funny. He would make me laugh, and then I was like, stop, that actually hurts so much more. But it was good. We were having a good time. My midwife was like, my doula was like, you're taking this all so well. And Gregory's kind of humor, she was like, most people would not do so hot with that, so I'm kind of impressed. I was like, no, it's actually really distracting, which is good, but you know, it's not really that bad yet, so I'm not really worried. And you know, it got progressively more intense, but not to the point where I was like unbearable. I could still talk between my contractions. And they were like, okay, we're gonna call this other nurse because she needs a couple more deliveries, and she helps with the, you know, like after newborn care or whatever. She showed up and she was like, me being here means that you're gonna have a baby, so yay. And I was like, sweet, let's do it. And I got out. I was like, ooh, I gotta go to the bathroom again. Got out, couldn't go to the bathroom. I just peed. And I was like, okay, well, whatever. Walked back out to the tub, and then I was having a contraction, so I was waiting it out before I climbed over like the staircase and back into the tub. Didn't want to slip and fall or anything. And then all of a sudden there's this big, it felt like, you know, like a kick drum sound. That's what it felt like. I could like hear that sound internally. I don't think anyone else could hear it, but I felt that sound internally and that feeling like he was kicking really big, and then there was like a pop and like swoosh. And so that's when my water broke. I was like, oh no, my water broke. I think she thought I peed myself, and I was like, no, that was my water. Definitely my water breaking. And then as soon as we came to that realization, I was like, ha, cool. Oh my goodness. It was like 1,000 times more dramatic, more intense. And you know, they say when your water breaks, there's like a lack of a barrier, so it's a little bit more intense. It was way more intense, like so painful. I was like, I need to get back into the tub right now. And so I labored in the tub for like an hour, and she checked me prior to that hour, right after my water broke. The midwife came back in and checked me. She was like, oh, you're at 7 centimeters. And I was like, that's it? That like broke my heart, because I was like, these are so strong. And I'm only at 7 centimeters, and I have 3 more centimeters. I made this little progress. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I can do this. So she was like, yup, you're doing great. Your effacement's like almost 100. It was like 90% or something like that. I was like, okay. She's like, just keep going. And I was like, these are so bad though. And I was in the tub probably for about an hour. And then at that point, my body was really tired. And I just kind of realized, I was like, I like the water. I love what it's, you know, it's helping me, blah, blah, blah. But in the water, you do have to suspend yourself because you're floating. So you kind of have to like hold yourself up. And if I had sat in the seat in the corner of the tub, you know, and been able to labor, like reclined like that, it would have been fine. But it was so much more painful because there was no counter pressure, nothing like that you could do for me in that position, that I was like, I can't, I gotta get out of the tub so I can just lay. Which wasn't ideal. I did want to deliver in the tub, but I was like, whatever, here we go. This is gonna be a while, so I just don't have the energy for it, and I have to push yet, and my legs were like giving out. So I was like, we're getting out. So we got out of the tub, went, laid down on the bed. So much more painful, but worth it, because I could just kind of like relax in between. And then I only labored for what felt like an hour more, maybe, but it was like 3 more hours, apparently. But it was only like an hour more to my feeling. It was so intense. At one point, I actually fell asleep during like my strongest contraction and woke up at the peak of the contraction, and that was just the most painful thing ever. I didn't realize I was falling asleep because I was kind of delirious. I just was like, I thought I had zoned out and like actually had some relief, and then it was just so intense and so bad, and there was just nothing that could be done to help me. And after that, I was like, that's it. I'm out. I don't want it. Let's get an epidural because I can't do this. My doula was like, by the time you get there, check out of here. The ambulance comes because you have to have an ambulance transport. You have the 20-minute transport, and you get there, you get admitted there, and an anesthesiologist comes to give you an epidural. You're going to have had a baby already. And I was like, fine, you're right. That's stupid. Like, okay. So, continued laboring. At one point in time, it sounded, and apparently I made this up in my head, but it really sounded like she was saying that the baby's heart was having problems because I wasn't breathing properly, because I was just in so much pain. And I wasn't like taking the deep breaths that I needed to when I was contracting, because if I breathed in and gave myself more oxygen, it was a more intense pain. So I was just like, hold my breath, which you can't do because it doesn't do anything for your contraction. So it was rough, but I thought that she said that his heart rate was having some issue and it was becoming dangerous. And I was like, then let's transfer. Like, let's go to the hospital. Let's get the epidural, because I can't do this. And, you know, I don't want to put him in danger. And they were like, what are you talking about? He's fine. No one said that. You're doing great. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I don't know where that came from, but I swear I heard somebody say that. So I was like, I really wanted to push because pushing felt so much better. And they came in, they took my blood pressure, and they're like, you need to have your baby now or you need to go to the hospital. So we're going to start pushing because you're at 10 centimeters. They were just waiting for me to fully efface. That's what took the longest, because I had an anterior lip. And so she was like, I'm just going to hold it back a little bit. And for my first couple of pushes, and then she's like, oh, okay, great, it's gone. I didn't feel like I really pushed for that long. It felt like maybe 15 minutes. Apparently it was 45. I had no concept of time. I pushed for like 45 minutes, and it felt a lot better to push because you could do something with your energy. You were holding your breath. You were focused on something. Honestly, not that bad. Didn't really hurt that bad. You know, they always are like, you gotta push this like head through your body, blah, 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 blah. And it's huge. It really wasn't that bad. The only part where I was like really uncomfortable with it is the part where I tore, and I realized this afterwards. But I thought she just like put pressure on the like top of the exit, and it was really uncomfortable, and I was like, ooh, don't do that. And I thought that in my head, but I was pushing and I was holding my breath, but I was like, oh, that was really uncomfortable, don't do that. That was when I tore. And his head was out. They're like, you're so close. As soon as his head's out, you're gonna feel some relief. So then the head came out, and I was like, it doesn't really feel any better. Like, it feels different, but not necessarily any better. And then by the time I had thought through that, it was like time to push again. And then couldn't even process anything else that was happening. And then he was basically out. And I, as soon as he was here, I was like, I don't want to do that again. Let's not do that again. That was so rough, which was really distressing to me. But that's about all I could think. And I was like, oh. And then a couple of minutes later, she was like, do you still feel contractions? And I was like, no, but I can try and push anyway. And so it took like 2 contractions for me to deliver the placenta. You know, after that was done, they got me cleaned up, and my midwife was like, "You do have a tear here, but I can't decide if I want to give you a stitch or not because you tore up instead of down. You're more likely to tear down, I guess. I don't really know." But she was like, "It's inside, so if I did put in a stitch, it'd be really uncomfortable and pokey and like stick out, and it wouldn't just be like a normal stitch." And I was like, "Do you have to?" She's like, "I don't really know. I'm going to go consult with this other midwife." And they were both like, "Yeah, we're torn. It's a 50-50, so it's really your preference. If you don't get the stitch, it's not going to heal as well. It's going to be really painful to like pee. And if you're not careful, it's going to take a lot longer to heal. And it's not necessarily going to heal as clean." And I was like, if it's not going to affect functionality, I'm fine. I'll deal with it. So that was my birth story, my unmedicated, not water birth, but I did use the water, you know, as a help. Birth center birth. So obviously that goal was accomplished, even though there was a point in time during the labor that I was like, nope, I can't do this. I did it, and it was worth it. I've talked a lot about, you know, doing it again, and I, again, can do a video on that if you guys want to hear kind of my thoughts about doing it again. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for when more videos like this come out. I will no longer be doing a Tuesday post after this video. This is my last like baby birth related video, unless you guys request one, of course. Then I will do another one. Otherwise, it will just be Friday posts from now on. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next time.
Love, Genevieve.